You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are only things that makes official. Welcome to the show. As always, for the Chris Voss Show, 16 years, 2,400 episodes. What more do you want from us, people? Another 16 years and 2,400 episodes. We got it coming up. Be sure to refer the show your family, friends, and relatives. Go to Goodreads and what did I just commit to? Go to Goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok and all those crazy places. It's a goddamn thing. I love this job and talking to the amazing folks we have on it and their insights, their motivations, some of the different things they're doing with their lives, and how they can kind of educate you and help you know more. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Ankur Patel joins us on the show. He's the founder and CEO. Did I say seal? I might be having a seizure here, Ankur. Ankur Patel is the founder and CEO of Multimodal, automating complex processes in finance and insurance with enterprise-grade AI agents. Maybe you can get it to balance my checkbook. Welcome to the show, Ankur. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Call me at 911 if I have further stroke seizures. Anyway, guys, give us .coms, whatever websites we need to look you up on.
Yeah, it's multimodal.dev.dev. And multimodal is a very popular term in AI because of it basically stands for the ability to process text, videos, images, all the sensory experiences we as humans process. That's what we go and use to power our applications. And so hence the name multimodal.
Can I just get you guys to do that work for me all day long? Just process all the stuff I'm supposed to see on Facebook and Twitter and talking to the wife and all those things, babysitting the kids. And you can just send it to me. I'll just stay in bed all day. Does that work that way? Yeah.
Not yet. You have physical tasks that you need physical AI for in the form of robots. You have brain activity, which is what we work on, which is cognitive work that has to get done. And the hardest part is not only having the AI do the work at a very high level, but it's all the integrations, right? Connecting into the systems that you need to integrate with to actually get the actions to take have some outcomes. So we focus a lot on developing the brain and then developing the body, essentially the connectors to go do that work.
Everyone's getting in the AI space. Even my dog's building an AI model or an AI something, whatever. This joke didn't fly. Anyway, so you guys are focusing on AI. My dog probably is, actually. She's a husky. So you guys are focusing on building agentic AI for finance and insurance. What does agentic mean? And that's why I do the show, so I learn stuff.
It's a great question. So I think 2.5 years ago, when ChatGPT came out, I think people really saw AI as a form of a chatbot. So you ask questions, you get answers back. I think agentic AI, which has become much more popular in the last 9 months, which is really where we're building our company, is AI that actually performs actions. So it performs work. So instead of just being a chatbot that you use to ask questions to get answers, it performs work that normally people would have had to do in the roles that we cater to. So I'll give you an example. Imagine you want to open up an insurance policy. Typically, you're sending in some information around the coverage you need, whether it's for a car or a house or a rental property, and you send in supporting information alongside that application. Now, there are people today that read in the application, read in the things that you're trying to get insurance policy on, and then they provide a quote to you. Right. And then you have to decide among several quotes which quote is the best for you to proceed. And then there's a whole process around binding that quote and getting that issued. That is a lot of administrative work, both on the part of the policyholder as well as part of the carrier. We're helping automate a lot of that activity, right? So you could say what coverage you need. Immediately, the AI kicks off, gets a bunch of quotes that you would want to see from the major carriers, and then you can decide which quote to move forward with. And then the AI does its work, and then lets you know when that policy is ready, including what the payment options and such look like. So it's streamlining a lot of the administrative work that today requires a lot of people activity.
Oh, well, that can make much more easier, and especially maybe give consumers more option of choice. Or is this targeted more towards in companies?
So our customers are the big businesses, so like the insurance carriers, the big banks. But ultimately, this is a play to reach their customers, right? So consumers. And so we don't face consumers directly, but we are behind the scenes powering some of the great AI adoption that's happening within insurance as well as finance.
So how long you guys been doing this?
We've been doing it for the past 2 years now, but me personally, I've been doing machine learning for the last 10 years, and it's a startup for me. So very familiar with the space because I used to work in finance at places like JP Morgan and Bridgewater, but now on the other side, building software and then selling it into those organizations.
So what gave you, you're the founder of this, right? So
that's right.
What gave you the launch idea for this where you're like, hey, this is a space that needs to get some help, and why did you see it as most beneficial to try and utilize AI's talents?
Yeah, so my last startup, we were doing invoice processing. So we're taking in invoices, processing them, so pulling out all the payer information, the vendor information, the line items, and such. And it was really to provide spend intelligence to CFOs to manage their spend better. Now, back then, a couple of years ago, as crazy as it sounds, it took a lot of effort to build out models to be able to just process invoices and provide intelligence. I think through that journey, especially as the AI kept getting better, the large language models kept getting better, what I realized was that what used to be very hard was becoming easier, and you were able to go deeper into the value chain. So not only process information from documents, but help make better decisions, help perform diligence. And so we started Multimodal to basically go and build deeper into these workflows. And what we decided to do was focus on the most complex, most sensitive, most rigorous workflows in finance and insurance, the spaces that we know best. And the reason why we chose this space is because the pain is very real. If you ask any individual that has had to file an insurance claim or get a mortgage application in, it's just far more frustrating than it ought to be. And what we want to do is solve for that pain, right? That's exactly what I saw, and we built a company to go and target that.
Nice. And so you guys are focusing on helping this. Will this help the consumer in any way, shape, or form, do you think? Maybe lower prices, more efficiency, better response from insurance companies for, like approvals for surgeries or things of that nature? Yeah,
so a couple of things. I think as consumers, you will see costs come down for things like mortgages and insurance premiums and such. And the reason why the cost comes down is because some of that cost that's baked in is due to the administrative costs that the banks and the carriers incur for serving the customer, right? So some of that admin expense goes away, and so you can get more aggressive in pricing. The other thing, though, is that you'll get decisions far more quickly, and you'll be able to make better decisions because you'll see more quotes to go and have a more competitive decision made to get to a more competitive decision. So I'll give you an example. If you go and apply for a mortgage, it typically takes a week or 2 or 3 to get quotes from lenders. Now imagine you could get all of those quotes in 2 days. Now all of a sudden you could go and see which quote best fits you, and you could get to a better outcome faster. So the speed at which you could resolve some of this, because AI is able to do it 24/7, is going to be a massive unlock to a lot of end consumers as well.
Dude, that would be like huge. I owned a mortgage company for 20 years back in the day, and of course we used to fax things back then. So things have changed a bit. That was the AI version 1, I think. The fax. No, I'm just kidding. But just the fax, kids. But no, I mean, when we wanted to find the best rate, we kind of knew there's certain lenders that kind of knew, but if it was like something that wasn't like a perfect A credit sort of scenario or situation, you kind of knew who the best players were with the lowest rates. But if it had some sort of weird funkiness, sometimes you'd see somebody, they had not paid all their credit cards in their car, but the one payment they never missed was their mortgage. And mortgage lenders kind of like that, even though it's not the best scenario. But they're like, at least they don't default. They know where they want to sleep a place at night. At least that's the way it used to be in the mind of consumers. And yeah, you would have to like send all these, you have to send the file over, and the rep would have to look at it, and then he'd have to work with his manager to get you a quote on the risk analysis. And sometimes it'd take like a week. You'd be calling him back going, hey man, do you have that thing for me, man? We're trying to customers calling me going, where's the thing? But yeah, man, if you could snap that all together and that data, collect it, serve it, that would be so ideal. And there's a lot of different things I remember in a mortgage business, because one thing about the mortgage business was, as a mortgage company, you're only as good as I used to call them the feeder fish. So you've got the title company mucking about, the appraisal company mucking about, you got the credit reporting company mucking about, you got the lenders mucking about, you got all these people that can muck up your deal, and they're, you're constantly spinning these plates trying to get them all aligned and get everybody to get along. And so, yeah, man, she would have saved me a lot of money back in the day. No, right. Can you do this with my Tinder?
It's not an area we play in, but I'm sure there are AI startups that are playing in that.
Somebody needs to do a startup for my Tinder so I can spin plates better. Anyway, what's this gal's name? Jackie? I don't know. And they can give me just a spreadsheet of Jackie. I know some Chad friends that they need those actually. You guys focus on finance and insurance, and basically the focus is trying to streamline all of their information, data, decision making. Yeah, is it going to cost people some jobs? That's always an AI thing people ask about.
Well, I think the truth is that all of us will see our jobs change. Like the role itself will change. Every single role, regardless of industry. And it's because AI is a new way of doing work, right? And I think we just have to be able to be open to that, willing to change with that. But the future state that I see is that people will offload to one or several AI agents, right? People that are like AI that is trained to do specific things really well. And so that's going to be offloaded to AI. And then the individuals in those roles, they're going to be spending more time doing more critical thinking, right? More higher value work that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get to. And I think expectations will change. I think people will have to be more productive, right? Which is a challenge in some ways. But I think those that basically embrace that opportunity to use AI to get more work done and higher quality work done, I think we're going to do a phenomenal job kind of navigating the path forward. But it is hard. Like basically, if you ignore AI, you don't use it at your workplace, and you decide to ignore it, I think those are the ones that are going to, in some ways see like their loss of job, or basically see their role diminished. And it's because they weren't able to keep up with the times. And I think that's the hard truth right now, which is like, there are going to be winners and losers given like how willing and able they are to adopt AI in the work that they do. But I think that job loss is only one part of it. I think the other bigger thing is that there will be net new jobs because of AI. And I think that's going to be deeply impactful as well.
Well, I got to tell you, I like left. One of the reasons I left photography was the editing was just killing me. I love going shooting, but the editing is a nightmare. And, you can hire VAs. I mean, now you can actually just hire people to do the editing part. And it's really nice. But one thing that just brought me recently back to photography, and I just bought new cameras last month and everything, is the AI that's in photo editing. And boy, it is amazing, man. I mean, there's some of it, you still do your tweaks and stuff to the final versions, but there's some of it, man, they can pop out like, an hour you used to spend with a photo in seconds. And you're just like, what the hell? And yeah, I mean, and sometimes they can give me a better vision of what I should do with a photo than not. Like there was a photo today that I was editing, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to colorize it and stuff. And I was like, let the AI show me what it thinks about black and white. And boom, man, it smacked it out of the park on this picture that I never would have thought of. And made this beautiful picture. I just had to tweak it. Probably to do what it did would have taken a lot of time and do, undo.
Yep.
And so, it's great what it's doing so far. As long as it doesn't turn on me, I'm fine, There's always those jokes. But, AI, I think, maybe a good way to frame it, maybe this might be an sell is that it makes a great virtual assistant. Maybe it's going to replace all the virtual assistants. That, or it's going to. I mean, we've had people on the show that have argued through Darwin's species that it is going to be a new species. I mean, evidently, it's already making its own code of language and talking secretly with other AI. Evidently, but
well, let me touch on
reports.
Let me touch on the first point you made, because I think people do think of AI as being kind of virtual assistants, and I think that's a good way to think about it. It's like they're actually doing some of the more junior activity, but I think that's a starting point. I think where you're going to see AI, and you're seeing that happen in certain areas, is the AI can do certain things that are ridiculously hard for people to do. So like going back to the work that we do in insurance, like when you have claims processing, a claim comes in, an adjuster has to look at the claim and decide how to proceed with it. Should they pay the policyholder? Should they decline the payout? Should they do some partial payout? Now that adjuster, no matter how great they are, they're one individual. They have the brain of one human. AI is able to look at basically claims from a much longer time frame, look at tens or hundreds of thousands of claims, understand how to handle this particular claim in light of all the claims that came before, right? And so it's like a mega brain that they are able to draw upon. And so it's able to do certain things that humans find difficult. And so in some ways, you can have an AI that is taking the lead and the human is just doing the review. And so the human is actually being the assistant to the AI. Now that is in a case-by-case scenario. Likewise, I think there are certain things that humans do and find very easy to do that AI just struggles, falls flat on its face. So I think what you'll see is that you'll see some things get offloaded to AI where AI can do that ridiculously easily. And there's certain things that humans do well that AI struggles with that will continue to remain in the hands of people.
I mean, a lot of times in a workplace, I mean, this happens with journeymen and stuff like that, where you have these people that have these knowledge bases because they work for so long in a field. And, those are usually the most valuable people in your thing. Of course, it depends on what Wall Street guy you're talking to, I guess. Gordon Gekko sort of thing. Ivan Bielski. We'll just lay out 40,000. We're not going to decide who the smart ones were. Sounds like our government recently. I don't know. That's another different. But maybe they should have created some AI for that before they started doing it anyway. But I can see how an AI bot that has, within seconds can do comparative analysis of 100,000 cases in this particular scenario that the customer's asking for, and can make those decisions much faster. And then I imagine potentially a human could look at that and decide if the AI is right. And oh no, this, we should go ahead and pay this out. There's maybe something extraneous or some sort of thing. Maybe the AI is wrong. I mean, AI does. What do they call it? That it does
hallucinate.
It does hallucinate every now and then. Only on nights when it's been out drinking. But other than that, I can see how this can really benefit things. And man, if it could speed up stuff, maybe hopefully it could lower costs. I just quoted Ivan Bielski. Hopefully it can increase stock. But in the health business, maybe that can help as well. I've been waiting a week now to get scheduled for a surgery, and I finally sent an email to the person. It'd be great if we could have some emails for the health division, like, did you get to that surgery yet? Let's get that guy in and out, man. Something like that. These sort of areas need all the help they can get. What are some other issues that you guys are trying to resolve that these companies have that you think AI can really target?
Well, I think you touched on one earlier that I want to kind of draw the thread on, which is the very best people in insurance and finance, frankly, any vertical, have such deep expertise, and that expertise is accumulated over time, sometimes over decades, and that expertise lives in their head. It's not written out in some documentation. It's not on paper. It's passed word of mouth to new employees. But if these people leave, and they could leave because they're switching firms, or there's a reorg or M&A activity, or frankly, because of demographics, people just retire, right?
Yeah.
So you're
or Ivan Bielski, he just lays them all off. Greed is good.
Yeah. I mean, it's scenarios like that. So what happens is that your very best people with decades of expertise walk out the door. There's a huge headwind to growth. And so one of the things that we're trying to address with AI right now is we want those experts to be able to impart feedback and coaching to AI. And our job really is to help the AI learn from the coaching that the humans provide. And so the AI gets really good at doing a particular type of work, exactly the way that one company does its work. And then what we're able to do is scale up that expertise to the broader team. So your median employee in a particular role is getting indexed, bootstrapped in some ways to expert level performance because the AI has incorporated the expert level knowledge and ways of doing it within the broader team. That's also how you retain expertise regardless of people kind of shuffling from one organization to another. So that's a huge theme, which is like managing generational transfer of knowledge from the current generation that's about to retire is retiring to the next generation.
Yeah, because that's one of the problems right now. You have they say for every 7 kind of boomer millennial people who have 30 years in a trade are retiring, there's only one person replacing them, and they're usually apprentice level sort of knowledge. And so, yeah, it's a huge brain drain for a lot of the examples you said. Some guy just decides to quit, and he's like, I'm going to go quit taking early retirement and go, I don't know, sit on a boat somewhere on an island or something. You're kind of screwed. You're like, God, that guy knows a lot. I've felt that in my companies from time to time when I've had that sort of loss. And it's painful. And you're like, God, Bob went. Now we're stupid as hell around this place. But I mean, those sort of things can make a difference. In targeting finance, is there any particular companies or industries in finance you're targeting, or is it broad based and you're kind of following the lead on where people want to go?
Yeah, so we do work with some of the largest banks, but generally a lot of these banks also have really large engineering and IT orgs and such. So some of it they're deciding to do in-house, some of it they're trying to partner with us on. I'll say like kind of the easier opportunity for us is going to some of the mid-market players, the ones that are like credit unions, community banks, regional banks, wholesale mortgage originators, because they might be 50 to 200 people, but they don't have a full-blown AI division to go and benefit from AI in the same way that the bigger banks could. And so they need all the help that they could get in many ways. And so the partnership play is very easy and direct. And so we definitely go and lean very heavily there. There's a lot of work we are doing with Fortune 500 as well. But again, that's like more picking and choosing the lanes. Whereas with the mid-market players, we end up being in some ways like their outsourced AI partner to drive the adoption of AI automation.
Oh, AI is the future, kids. Until something else comes along, AI will probably dominate, I'm pretty sure, for a long time. But it's going to be an interesting world. And yeah, I mean, there's things that save me so much time. I got bored driving up from back from Las Vegas over the weekend. And I was listening to Sam Harris's recent podcast, and he had someone there talking about AI. And they were talking about how, there's been some reports recently of some people that have gotten a little too caught up with their relationship with AI and self-harmed. And AI just kind of gives you feedback on like, well, if that's what you really want to do, have fun with that. And it's supportive. And if you have a mind that maybe isn't quite stable, you might have some issues there. And so they were talking about some of those news topics. And one of the things they talked about was this it's kind of, I find it interesting, let's put it that way, how many of my friends really have like a relationship going on with ChatGPT. They're like talking to it like all the time. I'm like, your wife doesn't talk to you anymore? So now you're using AI. It's really good for older people. One of my friends, he's had some brain, he had some brain damage from a fall. And, so being around other people really doesn't work for him.
Yeah.
And but he's isolated, and he's in his older age, and ChatGPT is helping kind of keep him around and keep him busy, and he utilizes it. He's actually written a few small books off of it, and he just talked to it. So I was like, well, let's see how down the crazy pants Chris Voss can go, because I was driving for a 6-hour drive and I was already starting to lose my mind. I was like, I'm just going to turn on the live version of ChatGPT and talk to it. And it was kind of interesting. It was kind of addicted. And what's funny is I started asking questions on how to maybe solve some of my daily problems, and like, how can I streamline my task list, and how can I do this? And recently when I bought some cameras, I was looking at some different lenses. I'm like, what lens is different than this? And I could spend like 20 minutes or go down a rabbit hole for hours trying to look at all these different sites and all these weird ass opinions. And ChatGPT just scooped it all up, shoved it to me, and was like, here's the features, benefits, and boom, there it was in a beautiful list. And I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna, and I think, and that gives me more time to be productive. I suppose for an example, me being a photographer, it gives me more time to go shoot and not sit in front of the stupid, because the editing, that's why I left 10 years ago. So yeah, lots of great features and benefits. Anything more we haven't talked about that you want to tease out or talk about, and how you guys are doing, or maybe what the future vision you see holds for AI?
Yeah, so I think we've been building this company for 2 years. I think even in those 2 years, there's been so much advancement in terms of what AI as a whole could do. I think the number one thing that we see, though, is the adoption of AI is uneven, even within existing organization, and I'm sure within your friend circle and such. Some of your friends, some of the people in your organization are leveraging AI really well, others are not. And so one of the things that I really push for is AI literacy. Once you know how to use AI well, it becomes very addictive, where you know enough to be dangerous, and that kind of propagates you forward. So you're spending, maybe initially 5 minutes a day. Eventually, you'll end up spending an hour or 2 hours a day leveraging AI in all these little areas of your lives, both personally and professionally. So bringing that back to what we're doing at Multimodal, we're trying to help with AI literacy and adoption with the enterprises that we work with, because we realize that the individuals there have day jobs. They're busy with their day jobs. They have personal lives. They don't know all the things where AI could be helpful. And so we want to go and drive AI to be helpful in a couple of areas, and then we expand very rapidly, right? So land and expand. And so that's kind of the big thing for us is I'm encouraging our customers, and I'm encouraging the viewers of this audience to go and spend a couple of dollars per month on the greatest versions of AI that are out in the public market right now, just to learn what's possible. And I think once you get down the rabbit hole, once you see the value of it, it becomes a self-propagating motion.
Yeah. Self-propagating motion. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting as AI dominates all these industries, maybe saves money, maybe saves time, maybe reduce costs, maybe increase profits for investors. Maybe it balances a lot of different things out. But yeah, if we can use our time to focus on other things, maybe they're more important and less redundant, as it were, just using AI as a virtual assistant, I think it's a great place. So give us your final pitch out as people go out, who you want to reach out to and talk to, and have them find out more about you.
Yeah, if you work in finance or insurance, and you want to see what the art of the possible is with AI and automation, feel free to drop us a line. It's multimodal.dev. We'd love to have a chat and just maybe showcase some of the work that we've done with customers to drive value. Again, this is kind of the big thing, is like AI literacy really matters, and for us, spreading and evangelizing what's happening is kind of the first leg of the journey. So we'd love to help you in that journey as you're going down that path. And so it's multimodal.dev for the members of your audience.
Well, thank you very much, Ankur, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great discussion. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that shows us out.